what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about how to connect to the people and the animals that we're healing. And then I'm going to teach, that's like the topic of the teaching today. And then we are going to go into the formal part of the healing where I take you on a guided visualization. But right now there's a little theory about just a little tiny sliver of what's going on, so that hopefully we can all show up fresh and new to it, you know, and not so habitual, and honing our skill. Now, if you're new, just being here is honing your skill, so that's fine. But if you are familiar with energy healing, it's those tweaky little things that we find interesting. So the technique that we're using is we're intuitively connecting to the names that I read while we're doing a spinning meditation. And we're not sending them healing, we're sort of letting the spinning open up a space, or open up a spacelessness, so that the information that the healer needs to heal is more accessible to it. Okay, so it's basically connect and spin. And the spinning is a spinning meditation, which means you think of something that's spinning and you put it in your imagination, and it's kind of there in the background. If you know how to do Bengston's rapid image cycling, that is an example of a spinning meditation. If you don't know that, you can just take a ball of light and spin it. And you can put it on top of your head, you put it behind your head. You probably don't want it right in front of your face because it makes you focus too hard on it here. So if there's two things, like I just told you how to spin, so the next part is how to connect. So a little teaching. So when I read the list of names, what I do is I connect. I intuitively connect with them. I don't do it to fix them. I do it to connect. That an analogy is if I'm doing laying on of hands, when my internet's going in and out, sorry. When I'm touching my client, now this is not what we're doing now because we're not touching anybody, but if I was touching my client, I would just be noticing where I should touch them. And as an acupuncturist, I have lots of ideas of where to touch people. But the healing doesn't come through my hands, it comes through my patient. But my touch activates something in them so that they can receive. And so by analogy, what we're trying to do with the distance healing is to touch, if you will, our the healies, the people and the animals who have requested healing, and spin. And it's kind of a neutral touch. We're not trying to be channels of divine love. If the divine love comes through, it's usually a result of the healing, we're not causing the divine love to come in. And you kind of think of it, if we're opening a door to like the grace of the divine, we don't manufacture the grace of the divine, but we can look for it and it appears, but we don't like hammer it into the healing. All right, so how do you connect? I thought I would give us a couple drills. And if you're already very intuitive, this will be like, ho hum, let's get to the healing part. But if you're new, you might just wonder what this whole intuitively connecting thing is about. And I would posit that everyone already intuitively connects to much of their environment. So let's see. So when I put on this shirt today, I looked at my closet and it kind of jumped out at me as like, oh, that's the shirt I want to wear today. So you could say there was an intuitive click that said, I want to do that thing, right? I noticed that people, accountants, they have this intuitive thing where they just can kind of tell that something's amiss. And then they go through their forms and they go, there it is, that's it. So their intuition was saying something's not quite right. Another like skill that's not known for its intuitiveness, but I think is just as intuitive as anything else, is like a car mechanic. A seasoned car mechanic almost doesn't even have to open up the car to troubleshoot. It just sort of gets a sense from the description of what to check, and it's like they go right to it. And part of that is experience. But the experience hones the intuition. So like for me, I've been doing energy work for 40 years, and so I've established a lot of experience. So when something reminds me of other experiences I've had, it's easy for me to get the idea like, oh, it might be that, it might be that. But what if you're new? What if you're new to energy healing? So let me help you feel that you are already sensitive to energy. So I'd like you to close your eyes. I'd like you to imagine that the walls in the room that you're in are bright yellow. Somebody magically came in and painted the room bright, bright, bright yellow. Sunflower yellow. And notice, and don't worry, the paint will go away in a second, so you're not worried about that, but do tune into the idea that even with your eyes closed, you can kind of feel the yellow. Now I'd like you to imagine that, kind of erase the yellow, and now imagine that the walls in your room are a deep brown. And notice that you have a different feeling. I get it sensuously in my body. The brown feels lower and deeper, it feels more inward, it feels more like contracted. It's earthy, it's nice. The yellow feels more expansive to me, maybe more happy, more energetic. And now let's think of the walls being painted completely white. And try to feel what that does to your body. And now pretend like the walls are completely black. And now please type in the chat if you could tell a difference, or you could just sense that, yeah, black makes me feel different than yellow, and black is different than brown. And it's like when I think that thought of the color, even though I haven't physically changed my environment, if I just have the thought of the color, I respond to it physically, all sorts of ways. Okay, so now let's think of where we're going to go in a few minutes. In a few minutes, I'm going to take us in our imagination into an inner healing sanctuary. We're going to gather around an imaginary pond. I'm going to put the names of the healees onto little boats that are floating on the pond, and then I'm going to speak the names. And what I want you to be aware of this time is always be aware that you're spinning, but also be aware that when I say the name, that you connect to them. And your job is to notice that when I say one name, you feel different than when I say a different name. So even though you don't know them, and you just hear the sound of their name, pretend that you do. Pretend that at some level, you don't have to believe this, I'm just asking you to pretend it, because you'll get better results if you do. If you pretend that you are connected to the people and the animals who are requesting healing, or their owners are requesting healing, or their parents. When I speak the name, it's more subtle than black and red and yellow walls, but you will get a sense, you'll get a happy sense, you'll get and it's just okay, whatever it is. And you don't even need to think that you're accurate. Any response is fine, because that says that you're connected. And you would say, well, why is any response? Don't I have to be accurate? But I can tell you that I walk into shopping centers, people experience me very different than when people see me on the trail up in the mountains. and they experience me very differently than on this Facebook Live. They experience me, people experience me in many, 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 many different ways, and I'm still the same person. So the response you have to the names is as much about where you're at as who they are. And that's okay, because all we need to do is connect. We don't need to manage the connection. All right? And one way to connect would be to talk on the phone or meet in person. Another way is to just say the name. And what's powerful about just saying the name without knowing people is that it's more neutral. All right? So many people that have said they've gotten very amazing cures from being in this group, like, I don't know them. I just read their name. And I sometimes wonder if it's not a rule, but, you know, people feel bad if they don't have one-on-one time with me or something. And I'm like, well, maybe it's better to not have one-on-one time with me. Maybe it's great to just have that neutral interaction. It's not that it's the best way, it's that it's the right, it's art, you know, like, so you can't say that you always paint something blue. It's like blue is needed sometimes and yellow is needed other, you know, it's like it's all just forming. And how could I say that? Because I do want you to come see me, and I do want you to let me help you, and I think I can help most people. So I'm not saying that it's not super valuable, but I'm just saying that the enlightened perspective is that whatever's happening is enough for source energy to be working through perfectly. And I think you get more healing from that attitude than clinging on to a certain healing method or a certain healer, as valuable as healing methods and healers are. Okay? All right. All right. Okay. So, yeah. Let's see. All right, that's what I wanted to say about connecting. So we're just connecting and spinning. And the reason for the guided visualization is so that we connect with each other through a similar journey. Okay, that will help us resonate and establish a group resonant bond. Okay, and again, you know, do you need one person healing you, or do you need 50 million people healing you? You know, our mechanical minds think that 50 million would do better than just one. But I would suggest that whoever's here is the right number, and we can resonate, and it will be amazing. And people will feel better, and animals will feel better, and maybe a lot more than just feel better. I hope so. All right, let's begin the actual guided visualization. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're welcome to join us over at the Spirit Gate Cancer Support Facebook group. You can see the links in the description. And if you're here on Facebook, thank you for being here, and go watch my YouTube channel. Lots of free teaching over there. All right, here we go.